Good afternoon, this is Alan with the continuation of our badge series. We're now working on badge number 2 in the Microsoft Excel series, and this is going to be, we're working toward the second proficiency quiz dealing with the aspects of graphing and charting. As I told you in the preceding lecture, in which we created this columnar chart, these are objects, okay? I have a regular spreadsheet here, and I embedded this thing known as an object with all of these bars on it. Okay, and I did so by creating a table as we learned about in the first part of badge number 2's courses, okay? And I showed you the other day that creating a table is a wise way to create a chart, because if you just base a chart on a series of data that is not in a table, then every time you update that list, you'd have to create a new series of data within the chart as well. By using a table, when you add another number, as I showed you in the last lecture, when you add another year in this case, the chart will automatically update. So using a table is very wise, and everything in business is about saving time and efficiency. Time, of course, is money, okay? Since the last lecture, I've had a couple of requests for clarification. Let's take a look at this chart, for example. I'll point things out to you verbally since my cursor does not always appear on some operating systems. Okay, but now as long as I'm within this chart, you'll notice that way up here in the green area of this toolbar, there are 2 new tabs. Those will go away if I click outside the chart. Okay, but when I'm in the chart, the graph, those appear, and we were concentrating on chart design when we left off, when you click on that tab. Okay, now when you are within this chart, there are 2 areas. The area with bordered on the outside with these little handles. Okay, that whole thing, as you can see in my highlight, is called the chart area. Within that chart area is the actual graph itself, and that is called, as you can see, with that pop-up, the plot area. Okay, so the big picture is the chart area, the smaller area is the plot area, and you can resize and drag each of those respectively. Now, someone said to me, what specifically are handles? All right, now on this outside border on the chart area, I'm hovering over one right now. It's the upper left corner. Those little squares that you see, those at the 4 corners and in the middle of the 4 sides, those are called handles. Now you can grab that top bar anywhere, left click, hold and drag, okay? Like I just did, okay? A handle is different. If I grab that outside border anywhere, then what's going to happen is the whole thing will move. Okay, if instead I grab one of those handles, like I'm going to grab the one on the right, left click and drag, that stretches the graph out. Okay, so it accomplishes something slightly different. And you'll notice that the chart resized itself a little bit. So the material within the chart is going to attempt to fill the area as the system thinks you're trying to do. That is the difference between what a handle is, okay? You'll notice if I click anywhere inside the plot area, I can move it around inside the chart area. This time the graph is moving. I just moved it a bit there. I'll move it back, okay? But the chart area is not moving. Only the graph, the plot area within it. So again, there are 2 layers there, and each one can be resized accordingly. That's important because if you want to add titles, it's going to be a consideration, okay? Very good. I also want to remind you before we proceed any further on this topic, and by the way, let me remember to set my timer. Okay, it's very important to us because my files can only be posted to my courses on Dean College's site if they're a certain size. Okay, so in any event, I want to remind you about different versions of Excel. Some of you have said, well, my toolbar and my ribbon don't look exactly like yours, Alan. It doesn't matter, okay? Even when versions of Excel are updated, you're going to find that the resemblance is very much the same. You might simply have to search around a little bit more, but the basic functions will be there. Usually what happens is Excel, Microsoft specifically, will tend to add or improve. I haven't seen them take much away yet, so it just keeps getting bigger and better. If you do have questions, however, write to me, asadams, A-S-A-D-A-M-S, @dean.edu. Okay, I'll be more than happy to help you out as these things change. And if it's something I don't know, I'll find the answers and we'll both learn. Okay, so let's continue now. Let me see. We were dealing with add chart elements. So in the ribbon I've got right now under the tab Chart Design, okay, we were looking at add chart element. If you click on that, there are drop downs. I'm hovering over axes, and that to review quickly from the other day, you'll notice that horizontal and vertical are both checked. That means the dates are going to show across the bottom for you, and the money amounts are going to show down the side for you. Okay, if I uncheck them, let's try one, they'll disappear. If I uncheck primary horizontal, those dates are all going to go away. Okay, I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to undo up in the green bar that symbol that looks like a counterclockwise rotating arrow. I'm going to click on that to undo what I just did. I want those titles back. But that is what axes do for you. Okay? So if they're checked, that means they are on. And I want them both on because I want to see my dates and I want to see my money on the vertical axis. Okay? The next one down, we said the other day, axis titles. Okay? If you want to put in a title, let's say horizontal, okay, it's giving you the chance to put one in. See that little axis title right there? All right, if I want to say that those are my years, I can just type that in. Okay? All right, now I'm not very crazy about the fact that that's so small. So I'm going to hover over it, friends. I'm going to right-click on it, okay? And look where it says font. I'm going to make that bigger. I'm going to click on font just to have a little fun here. I'm going to make my font color red. I like red. Okay, there it is. I click on the red square. I'm going to make it bold. I come up here to font style in the top of this drop down, and I'm going to make it bold, and I'm going to make the font size a little bigger instead of 10. Let's see what happens if we make it 20. If I make it too big, it's not all going to show. It will cut off. I click on OK. All right. And it's still working. Hold on. Okay, wait for it. Let's try that again. For some reason it didn't take, and if I have problems, what I'm going to do is make sure that I change this, that I research it rather. Okay, I'm going to try to bold it up, and I'm going to try to make the font size a little larger. And I'm going to click on OK, and there we have it. I must have hit the wrong button, okay? So you see what happens. Now years, my label on the bottom, is larger. We increased the size, we made it bold, easier to read, and we changed the color while we were at it. Okay, so that's another thing we do with chart elements, and of course I'm going to get rid of that because I want to play a little bit more with how this thing looks before we commit ourselves. All right, very good. What else? The chart title. The chart title is automatically going to be chosen for us by Excel. It assumed sales. It assumed that sales is what I wanted. I never put sales up there. But Excel assumed that my variable data here in this column is what I wanted to use. I can overwrite that if I want to. Okay? So I'm going to click in the chart. I'm going to click on Chart Design on the tab. And again, Add Chart Element. Chart title. Now I can choose none. I can say I'd like it above the chart. You'll notice it's checked. That's where it is right now. I can center it within the graph if I want to. And as always, as I said the other day, there are more title options you can choose. Okay? You can make them text options. You can make them title options. If you really want to get fancy, that's what you would use. If you want to see shadow effects or reflection effects or make them glow, if you like to do fancy things like that with your graphics, with your letters, for example, that's where you would do it. Okay? I'm just going to click on the X and close that sub window there. At any time, if you want to change the appearance of chart title, you can also go right to it and right-click on it. Let's see what happens if we click on font. Once again, look familiar, friends? Yes, I can, let's do like we did before. Let's make the font color red. I'm going to choose red. Font style, I'm going to make it bold italic. And the font size, I'll make that, how about 22? I click on OK, and there you have it. I could have underlined that. I could have added effects to it, okay? There is so much power to the graphics presentational capabilities within Microsoft Excel, okay? I'm going to leave that one there. I kind of like the looks of that one. Okay, very good. What do we do next here? A quick review. We talked about data labels. Right now, I don't have any data labels. That simply means that each one of those columns that you see there, okay, I call it a bot chart because I'm an old-timer, I'm a geezer, but really, bot charts go horizontally. These are columnar charts, okay? So these are columns of data. Right now, I can roughly see on the vertical axis the amount of money they indicate, but if I want to know exactly what those data points are, without referring back to the table, I can always do that, then what I can do is say, take those data labels and put them, well, if you put them inside the column, they can be hard to read, so I'm going to put them outside end. Look at that, okay? They all appear at the top of each column. As you change those numbers, the column will change and the number will change if I go back to my table and change any of those variables. I can also change the appearance of those numbers. Let's leave them where they are for now, okay? They're a little hard to read, ladies and gentlemen, but we can get fancy again at any time with these things. Remember, our 3 key words, our mantra of learning about any Microsoft product, but in my case, Excel specifically. The 3-word mantra is experiment, explore, and practice. Just make sure that you save backup copies, okay, before you play a little bit more. All right, but I encourage you to do that because we always learn new things, and I can just, in the time we have here, can just barely stop brushing on the surface of the real hidden powers that Microsoft Excel does bring to the table for you. Okay? So that's how data labels work. Again, you have many options. What else can you do? Grid lines, okay? You can play with grid lines a little bit if you like. Now you'll notice right now I've got it set to primary, major, horizontal. That choice is checked, and you can see in my graph that I have horizontal grid lines. If I want to see vertical grid lines as well, I can check that and see how they appear, okay? And I'm going to undo that because I don't want them. I just want to demonstrate for you. All right. What else can we do with those lines? Let's go down to more grid line options. Okay? Now those grid lines are a little hard to see. Now you'll notice when you click on other options, again this menu on the far right appears. All right, let's say I want to make them red. I'm really into a red thing today. I'm going to click on red. Now notice how they all became red, of course. All right. The width, if I want to change the width, I can increase that as well. Let's make that 1 maybe. Okay. Notice how the line's thicken up. Okay. All right. Now, I can also say, well, I like the lines that width, but that's too bright. It takes away from the visual attributes of my columns. So look at this little knob here, that radio knob that says transparency. I can slide it. And as I slide it to the right, notice what's happening to the bars. They are getting more and more transparent until they are gone. So you, based on your own personal taste, can say, oh, that's it, right there. That's the presentation quality that I want before I give this to my boss. Okay? All right, I'm going to close that little window far to the right, and I'm going to undo what I did. Every time I click undo, it goes back 1 step through everything that I changed. Okay, so that's some of what grid lines can do for you. Please use that, play with it, mess around with it, have some fun with it, okay? All right, what else? All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get away from that little add chart element table for just 1 minute. And what I want to do is I want to move this entire chart to the right. I'm sorry, hold on. I'm clicking in the plot area by mistake. I wanted to click in the chart area. There's the difference. Now the entire thing is moving, right? All right, now I want to add an element to my table. I've got a forecast for 7 years of sales. I'd like to lay profits alongside of it as well and have double columns. we'll have a big bar just like it is now for sales, and I'm going to lay a bar, another one right next to it, for profits. To do that, I'm going to alter my table. So now let's go over here to our table. You'll remember, ladies and gentlemen, click anywhere in the table. Okay? Now right over here, I'm going to add one column that's called profits. Now right away, because I was right next to a table, Excel assumed that I wanted to add to the table. It created another column in a table for me. So that column is now part of the same table, that same object. How cool is that? Okay? Now, this table is a little too big for my liking, so let's resize it a little. You all remember how to resize a table or resize columns? Let's resize the columns, okay? So I'm going to come up here to that little line in between the A and the B heading on that column. I'm going to let that cursor, it turns into a line with arrows in it. I left click, hold, and drag to the left, and the whole column shrinks. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing with the space between B and C. I'm going to click on the line right after the B caption, slide it over just a little, give myself some space. Okay? I'm going to click on the chart again and drag that a tiny bit more to the right. Love how that works, huh? All right, now let's forecast our profits as being, how about 25%? We'll pick 25% of our sales. All right, now watch this, watch this. I'm going to hit the plus sign. I point to my sales in cell B4. We've done this already in our tables lecture now, ladies and gentlemen. This is a quick review for you. I'm going to multiply it by 0.25, 25%, a flat 25%. That's going to happen, if you'll remember, all the way down my column. Another benefit of using a table, the table assumes you want to do the same thing formula-wise all the way down. So I'm going to click in 0.25, I hit enter, and bam, every single one of my profits has been forecast out as being 25% of my sales. Okay? But even more significantly, friends, what happened? Okay? Number one, my sales heading disappeared. Why? Because I was letting Excel pick my chart title. Now Excel doesn't know what to do because I've got two titles, sales and profits, that it could use. So I'm going to have to go in manually this time. No assumptions by Excel. I'm going to have to go in and put my own title on this chart. Okay? Number two, far more importantly, since I updated my table, Excel says, well, Alan must have wanted to update his graph as well. So it drew a second column alongside of all my blue sales columns. How do you like that? Okay? So now you'll see that it has put an orange column right next to my blue column. And it also assumed, because I've got data labels on my blue bars, my blue columns, that I must want data labels on my profit columns as well. Notice how they all coincide with our table. Okay? All right, very good. I hope that you're finding this helpful. Remember, you can put me on hold, you can rewind me, you can fast forward me anytime you like if this is something that you already know. And watch me as many times as you like. You get no penalties for taking a mulligan and re-watching my videos. Okay, very good. Now I want a chart title because my chart title disappeared, so I click anywhere in the plot area. My chart design tab reappears. I click on that tab, chart design. All right, look familiar? I go way over to the left in the ribbon. I select add chart element. I'm going to go down to chart title, and I'm going to say I want it above chart. That way it will be, see where it appeared? In the chart title area. It did not appear in the plot area. It appeared in the chart frame around it. Okay. I place my cursor in there, and I'm going to just highlight it. And as soon as I start typing, I'm going to call this sales and profits. How's that? Okay. Very good. Oh boy, that's awfully small, huh? So I'm going to go up to it, and I'm going to right-click on it and select font. All right. My font drop-down appears. I right-clicked on it, by the way, to get that font choice. Okay. I'm again going to take font style. I'm going to pick bold italic. I'm going to say font size. Let's make it 22. I think that'll be good enough. And since we're into red today, I'm going to click on font color and click on the red square and click on OK. And look at that. That looks better, doesn't it? If you wanted to underline it, you could have done it the same way. Okay, come up to it, the chart title, right click, select font, come here to where it says color and underline, click on underline style. There's a little drop down there. Right now it says none. And I'm going to put a double bar under it like an accountant would, a double line. And I'm going to make my underline color just next to it on the right. I'm going to make that red also. Click on OK, and there you have it. Okay? Sales and profits. We've now entitled our chart. Okay? You can alter that font. You can use anything that's within Excel's menu. There's a wide variety of fonts to please your eye and sense of personal aesthetics. Okay, another table review. I'm getting a little tired of squinting at blue on blue for this table. So I'm actually clicking in the table. How do you change the color? Okay, when I clicked in the table, you'll remember from our first proficiency quiz for badge number 2 that when you click in a table, it gives you this table tab. I'm going to click on it. And I look kind of like orange or yellow. I'm going to come over here to all of these 6 different styles. There are more, but I only have 6 displayed at one time. And I'm going to click on that orange color. All right, that's a lot easier to read. Okay, I hope you'll agree. All right, my time is up, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm going to end this lecture right here, and I'll pick it up again. I'm going to do one more lecture at least. I may have to do 2 before we've adequately covered the topic of charting. And of course, you know what comes next. Right after that, we'll do a proficiency quiz, and that will be the second of 2 that I intend to embed here for your achievement of badge number 2. And you will be well on your way to having it. And stand by for that. And in the meantime, make sure, again, experiment, explore, and practice. Lastly, have a great day. Okay? Bye-bye now.